that this week it came to light that a Democrat candidate for Attorney General state of Virginia called for the assassination of a political opponent, called for the assassination of that political opponent's family, and there's not one national Democrat calling for him to step aside. Not one. It's disgraceful.
Nira, let me let you respond to that, because that is going to be a big story, I think, in the coming days.
I mean, I absolutely think people should criticize that 100%. Yeah. I think it was a private conversation he had, but still awful and disgusting. Wasn't calling for it public, but terrible. And it should be condemned. But then we should condemn that. But then you should condemn when the president calls the Democratic Party the party of Satan.
Yeah, in all fairness.
Why don't we just say both of those things?
I think I've paid the price for saying for political violence on our side.
But yeah, I agree with that. But let's criticize other Republicans or the president for not saying Satan.
But the fact that not one Democrat has stood out when he called for a political assassination, this moment of political violence, is crazy.
The messages that were sent by this Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia are really shocking, alarming, and completely unacceptable. He was threatening to kill his opponent and his opponent's children, and that type of rhetoric has zero place in our country, and the president was absolutely right to condemn that.
President Trump calling on Democrat Jay Jones to drop out of Virginia's race for Attorney General after resurfaced texts show him joking about shooting the former Republican House Speaker Todd Gilbert and wishing death upon his children. Let's bring in Republican strategist Matt Whitlock and former White House Director of Message Planning Megan Hayes. So here's what he apparently texted the Republican state delegate Carrie Coyner a number of years ago. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Subsequent to that, he apparently had a phone conversation with Carrie Coyner in which he hoped that Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. He said allegedly, "Yes, I've told you this before, only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy." How do you stay in the race, Megan?
So I never thought that I would say this on Fox about agreeing with Caroline Leavitt or Donald Trump, but he should not be in the race. I mean, people can vote for him if they want to vote for him, if he's going to stay in. It's abhorrent language. It's disgusting. He should not be in the race. It makes the Democratic Party look bad by not condemning this. It's just not something that I think that Democrats want to stand for or should be standing for, and most Democrats do not stand for. So I think there needs to be a tone change here. And I'm not from Virginia. I know that you live in Virginia. You know the electeds much more than I do. I just think that there'll be probably more people calling for him to drop out soon.
Right. Okay. So in terms of what Abigail Spanberger has said, she said the following, quote, "I made clear to Jay that he must fully take responsibility for his words. What I've also made clear is that as a candidate and the next governor of our Commonwealth, I will always condemn violent language in our politics." But she didn't say get the you-know-what out of the race.
That's a whole lot of saying a lot of words to say absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And I think Jay Jones, I don't just think he should drop out of the race. I think he needs a psych evaluation, because someone who wants to see their political opponent's children die has some very scary brain rot. And this has shifted from being just about Jay Jones to, as you said and as Megan said, an indictment of every Democrat who refuses to call on him to drop out. Because if you refuse to call him to drop out and refuse to even drop your endorsement, you are endorsing what he has said. And I think this is going to hound Democrats in Virginia all the way through November.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of this idea of tacitly endorsing what he said, this is what some Virginia Beach Democrats said. Jay Jones has taken responsibility, apologized, and shown he is committed to serving with integrity and accountability. Virginians deserve a leader who learns, grows, and stands for everyday people. And Jay is that leader. Here's what Governor Glenn Youngkin said this morning. Listen to this.
And this is why the Democrat Party has lost touch with where America is today, when they can support someone who wants to put 2 bullets in somebody's head who's a political arriver and see his children die. The only satisfactory answer here is to step out of this race in disgrace.
So, I mean, I guess you would side with Governor Youngkin on this one.
Yeah, and I agree with what the the Virginia Dems said. I just think that he shouldn't be in the race. And I don't think that I just think that he should step out of this race much before the people have to call for him to step out. I mean, that is like an honorable thing to do. What he said is he has admitted it's wrong. And I want leaders to admit that they're wrong. But this is like what you said. This is very too far. It's across the line. It is not appropriate for political rhetoric. It's disgusting. And I don't want a leader that acts like that.
Right. But the problem in the Commonwealth of Virginia is I sent in my early ballot a week ago after sitting on it for a week. There's a lot of people who've already voted for this guy.
Every day counts. And I actually think there's a chance that Abby Spanberger may call on him to drop out eventually, but every day counts. People are already voting, and she's made her position clear that she endorses Jay Jones and his horrific comments. And I think that's unacceptable. And we've seen Democrats say, we have to stick with Jay Jones for democracy. But if your version of democracy requires you to endorse an elected official who wants to kill their political opponents and watch their children die, that's not democracy. That's just pure partisanship.
I agree with you that she needs to condemn him sooner rather than later to drop out.
All right, so here's what Jay Jones has said about this. I take full responsibility for my actions, and I want to issue my deepest apology to Speaker Gilbert and his family. Reading back those words made me sick to my stomach. I'm embarrassed, ashamed, and sorry. Virginians deserve honest leaders who admit when they are wrong and own up to their mistakes. A lot of people might say he's apologizing not because he's sorry, but because he got caught.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think step out of the race, go rehabilitate yourself, and run again and see if the American people or see if Virginians want you back in office. Now is not the time. It's just not the time. He should step out. He should not make Abigail or anybody else have to continue to support him in this. It's bad for the Democratic Party across the country.
All right, we'll mark down the date, folks, because we had rare agreement on the Appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We have a closely watched race in an off-year election. It's taking place in Virginia, and now Democratic candidate Abigail Spanberger is saying if she makes it into office, she will undo a key executive order in the state. Virginia Mercury reporting this. Spanberger vows to scrap Youngkin's immigration order if elected governor. And Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears is a Republican candidate in the race. She joins us now. You're lagging a little bit in the polls behind Spanberger. This, to me, seems like it could be a real gift to your campaign. Look here at some examples of migrant crime in Virginia. We have, of course, these five, but there are many more that you could bring up, indeed, with all sorts of things from burglary to murder to sexual assault. What did Governor Youngkin put in place that the Democratic candidate says she would undo?
Isn't that amazing? I believe the first job of a governor is to keep the people in their state safe. Because, I can't even begin to talk about education and why that matters and how it will help our children. I can't talk about, bringing jobs to Virginia if we're not safe, if the inventories aren't safe, if our children can't walk the street, if we're not locking up people who commit crimes. And see, this is what my opponent is telling us, what she really believes. She is not going to keep Virginia safe, Dana, because of the results of what Governor Youngkin has put forward in Executive Order 47. We are now partnering with ICE, or we have our state police who are helping to get the criminals who are illegally here gone. That's it. How can my opponent be against getting criminals off the street? But of course, what we know is she has taken thousands of dollars for a PAC, wait for it, that is named Defund the Police PAC. So she's already signaling she doesn't care about us. And I guess she's going to be safe where she lives. But what about the rest of Virginians? So that's why I'm saying, elect me, Virginia, and I will continue to keep you safe.
And we, of course, invite Abigail Spanberger on any time. I've certainly followed her career while she was in Congress, and she's got an impressive record, as do you. There's also this issue, and that is that, as I mentioned, you're a little bit behind in the polls. You've come up, but there's still a little bit of a lag. But the Hill reports that Virginia Republicans are growing a little more optimistic in the governor's race. And Spanberger has decided to attack you over President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Watch here.
The Trump budget raises healthcare costs, raises mortgages, raises the price of electricity and gas. Winsome Earl-Sears is so far right, she's wrong for Virginia.
How would you respond to that?
And she's so far left, Abigail Spanberger, that if she were any further left and there were a cliff, she would fall off of it. She doesn't know how we are working in Virginia because she spent all her time in Congress. She voted against the Laken Riley Act, which simply said this: if you're criminally illegally here, you've got to be gone. She voted against Parents' Rights Acts, which said this, that parents must know what's going on in schools. Parents must be told if there's violence happening in the schools, that parents must know if the curriculum is going to be changed into more politics than what it should be, which is reading, writing, and arithmetic. And this is a woman, Abigail Spanberger, who has voted to support nude men in our girls' locker rooms, in our girls' bathrooms. And by the way, no fairness for girls because we would have biological males in girls' sports. So that
issue really became a bigger one after last week's situation in Northern Virginia. And I'm sure that she has thoughts on that. But I want to ask you from your perspective, Youngkin was very much able to get people to come out and vote for him. One of those main reasons was the schools, education, and parental rights. Is that still an issue, or do people sort of feel in Virginia that he solved that for them?
Well, it's absolutely an issue because what parents are saying is we are the child's parent all the time. In fact, parents are the children's first teachers, right? And so we don't need a governor who's going to come into office and get in between a parent and a child. We don't need school boards who are going to get in between a parent and a child. The parent is the child's parent all day long. We don't co-parent with the government, and that is what my opponent is for, which is surprising to me because she's the mother of 3 girls. And why she would want, for example, nude men in locker rooms with our girls, it's surprising to me.
Well, it's a big fight down there in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We are going to pay attention to it in this off-year election. It's yours and New Jersey gubernatorial and then the New York City mayor's race, keeping us busy this fall. Winston Sears, thank you.
They were text messages, horrible. I didn't want to read them out loud. I'm wondering how the text messages came to light.
Deeply disturbing messages that have been swiftly condemned across the political aisle. The Republicans have tried to tie this to the Congresswoman Spanberger, the gubernatorial candidate. She did very quickly denounce them. But it's unclear whether this attorney general candidate will stay in the race. I think there's a growing sense that he probably should not. We heard President Trump last night, but even some Democratic leaders, John Hyman, have started to say, like, look, this is inappropriate. You can't, and especially at a time right now with such concern about violent rhetoric and political violence.
And who says that?
Yeah, that this is just way beyond the line.
I would say, not to be too much on the high horse. It's wildly inappropriate under any circumstances today, tomorrow, 10 years ago, 6 months ago. I think the pressure is going to be on Spanberger and for the party to ask this candidate to just quit the race because just both, it's the right thing. And also the political splashback. You don't want to mess with this right now.
Who says that?
I think the right thing to do is basically this guy should do everyone a favor and step out of the race.
Yeah.